The sudden death of Charlie Kirk has left the political world in complete shock. Known as the outspoken conservative commentator and founder of Turning Point USA, Kirk had built a career on fiery debates, campus speeches, and challenging mainstream narratives. But few could have imagined that his journey would end in such a brutal and tragic way. His final moments and the real reason behind his killing have become the center of public attention, sparking debates across the nation. On the day of his death, Charlie Kirk was scheduled to deliver a lecture at Utah Valley University, an event that had already drawn both supporters and protesters. Witnesses described the atmosphere as tense but energetic, with students and political enthusiasts gathering in large numbers. Kirk, as usual, walked onto campus with confidence, prepared to defend his views against any challenge. But hidden within the crowd was an individual whose motives were far darker than political disagreement. According to early reports, the suspect had been monitoring Kirk's movements for days. Law enforcement sources suggest that the attacker was not merely a random agitator, but someone who carried deep personal resentment. Some close to the investigation believe the suspect may have been radicalized online, consuming content that framed Kirk as an enemy of social progress. Others speculate that private grievances, possibly linked to Kirk's personal interactions or his strong stance on sensitive issues, may have triggered the violent act. As the event began, Kirk was seen engaging with attendees, answering questions, and preparing to address the crowd. Moments later, chaos erupted. Eyewitnesses recall a sudden commotion followed by the sound of gunfire. Panic spread instantly, with students ducking for cover and security rushing to control the situation. Kirk collapsed within seconds, struck by bullets before he could even comprehend what had happened. Emergency responders were on the scene quickly, but the injuries were too severe. His final words, barely audible, were described by one witness as a prayer, a plea for strength in his last breath. The suspect was apprehended shortly after the attack, but the mystery of his motives deepens with every new detail that emerges. While officials remain cautious, insiders close to the case indicate that the killing was not random. In fact, the suspect may have planned the attack meticulously, targeting this particular event because it gave direct access to Kirk in a less secure environment. This raises troubling questions about the state of political discourse in America. Has disagreement now escalated to the point where violence has become the response to opposing views? Charlie Kirk's killing has also sparked fierce political debate. Supporters argue that his death symbolizes the dangerous climate where conservatives are increasingly vilified and targeted. Opponents, while condemning the violence, point to his controversial rhetoric as a factor that made him a polarizing figure. Yet, regardless of one's political stance, the reality is undeniable. The silencing of a voice through violence is an attack on free expression itself. In his career, Kirk often warned about the dangers of censorship and the decline of open dialogue. Ironically, his own death illustrates the exact collapse of civility he feared. Universities, once known as places of debate and discussion, have increasingly become battlegrounds of hostility. His tragic end at a college campus underscores the growing risk faced by public speakers who dare to challenge prevailing ideologies. In the aftermath, tributes poured in from across the political spectrum. Prominent conservatives mourned him as a martyr for free speech, while others described him as a determined activist who stood firm in his convictions. Former colleagues from Turning Point USA expressed their grief, calling him a visionary who gave young conservatives a platform to speak. Even some critics admitted that, despite disagreeing with him, the manner of his death was a devastating blow to democracy. The investigation continues, and the full truth behind the killer's motives will likely take time to surface. But what remains clear is that Charlie Kirk's final moments were not just about his own life ending. They reflected a broader crisis in American society. When disagreements turn into bullets, when debates transform into deadly confrontations, the very foundation of democracy is shaken. Charlie Kirk's story now serves as both a warning and a legacy. A warning that unchecked hatred and division can destroy lives, and a legacy that reminds us of the importance of standing firm for one's beliefs, even in the face of hostility. His death has left behind unanswered questions, but also a powerful message. Freedom of thought is fragile, and once violence takes over, It threatens everyone, regardless of which side they stand on. As America mourns Charlie Kirk, the nation is left grappling with an uncomfortable truth. His tragic killing was not just about one man, it was about what society has become. And unless these divisions are addressed, the cycle of violence will only continue,